So today I want to go over a very special day. It is the day when Israel's Messiah was born. No, not December the 25th. No, that is not the day that Messiah was born. Let us go to Luke 1. And I'm not going to utter these names in pagan Greek. I will say them in Hebrew the best way that I can. Verse 26, and in the 6th month. What is the 6th month on the Hebrew calendar? Answer, it's the month of Elul. E-L-U-L. Look it up. You can go on Wikipedia and you can go look up the Hebrew months and follow along with me. In the 6th month, the month of Elul, the angel Gabriel was sent from Jehovah unto a city in Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Miriam. And the angel came in unto her and said, Hello, you are highly favored. Jehovah is with you. Blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And then the angel said unto her, Fear not, Miriam, for you have found favor with Jehovah. And behold, you shall conceive in your womb. She hadn't conceived yet. But as soon as she gave her consent, it happened. I will continue. You shall conceive in your womb and bring forth a son. And look what it says in King James. Now, not only did King James put the false name of Jesus up there, they put it in big, bold letters to make sure you got the name wrong. You see, there is no Hebrew, there is no Jew in those days who would have called their son by a Greek name. No, not in those days. If there was a father involved. Now, Titus, a helper to the Apostle Paul, was half Hebrew, and you know who gave him that name, Titus? It was his father, a Greek. But I digress. If you go to Strong's Concordance, you'll realize it says Yehoshua. You shall call his name Yehoshua. Why? Because it literally means in Hebrew, Jehovah is salvation. There is no other name by which anyone can be saved. Not in the name of Zeus or Jesus. Verse 32, he shall be great, he shall be called equal to the highest? Nope, that's not what it says. He shall be called Son of the Highest, and Jehovah Elohim shall give him the throne in Rome. That's not what it says. Give him a throne in heaven. That's not what it says. Give him the throne of David, of his father David. Where is his throne? Where will the throne of his father David be? It will be in Jerusalem, not Rome. And he shall reign over what? The house of Jacob, or the house of Israel forever. Why then is it that you Christians deny this truth? This truth came from on high, came from our Father in heaven himself. The words that came, there can no word of his be ever denied, undone, or taken back. And of his kingdom there shall be no end. So, guess what? Israel will be brought back. The tribes of Jacob, the house of Jacob. Then said Miriam unto the angel, How shall this be, seeing as I know not a man? And the angel answered, said unto her, The Holy Spirit shall come upon you, and the power of the highest shall overshadow you. Therefore, also that holy thing which shall be born of you shall be called the Son of Jehovah. And behold, your cousin Elizabeth, she has already conceived a son in her old age, and the son, the conceived one, is 6 months along. Don't let these translations try to fool you into thinking that they were conceived on the same month. 6 months along with her who was called barren, for with Jehovah nothing shall be impossible. Miriam then said, this is where she gave her consent. When did she give her consent? On the 6th month, Elul. I believe it's Elul. Make sure I get this right. Yes, on the 6th month called Elul. All right? Then she said, Behold, the handmaiden of Jehovah, be it unto me according to your word. And then the angel departed from her. Now, so let's count, shall we? You know that the day that Yeshua was born would have been on a holy day. How do I know this? Is this pure conjecture on my part? No, and I will show you why it's not. So let's do some counting. Once again, you see, this is never done in complicated math, you see. No, this is always done in simple math. Math, in this case, that a first or second grader can understand. Okay? So let's start counting. So, from the month of Elul, we'll start counting 9 months. After all, we know that's how long it takes for a baby from conception to birth, right? Do we all not agree? All right. Tishri would be the end of the first month. Cheshvan, Mar Cheshvan, that's 2. Kislev, 3. Tevet, 4. Shavuot, 5. Adar, 6. Nisan, 7. Iyar, 8. And Sivan would be the 9th month. So let's go and explore the month of Sivan, shall we? Month of Sivan. Okay. I want to show you something. Right here in Wikipedia. The very first thing you see is the 6th through the 7th day of Sivan is Shavuot. Shavuot! What is Shavuot? Well, before I begin to explain what Shavuot is, what I want to do is this. I'll turn off my phone here so people don't start bothering me. All right. So in 1096, in worms. The Jews were massacred by crusaders during morning prayers after taking refuge in a local castle. Okay? Don't forget, this is Yeshua's birthday. In 1313 BC, or somewhere thereabouts, the Torah was given to Moses at Mount Sinai and thus observed as the festival of Shavuot. That would be on the 6th of Sivan. Right. Now, at 1040 BC, on Shavuot, folks, on the 6th of Sivan, King David was born. I will stop right here. Well, I will do one more. Well, this one's on the 23rd of Sivan. All right, never mind that. So on the 6th of Sivan, on Shavuot, King David was born. Let's have a look at something here. Hosea 3 verse 5. This is when they're brought back. Israel is brought back. This is the promise. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Jehovah their Elohim, and David their king shall fear, and they will serve Jehovah their Elohim and David their king. And they shall fear Jehovah and his goodness when? In the last days. There's no getting around the truth here, folks. Okay? When was King David born? On Shavuot. All right. He calls the Messiah David their king. Why does he say this? Because he's the son of David. He is of the lineage of David, and he will sit on David's throne. He was born on the same day that David was born. But you see, the Gentile church has rejected that truth. Like the dog goes back to his vomit, they celebrate the birth of Satan instead. Yes, I said that. The birth of Satan. Okay. Saturn. Saturn is another name for Satan. Satan has many names. Zeus is another one of them. All the male, so to speak, false gods are an ode to Satan. They are in honor of Satan, the adversary of the Almighty. And so, what has the Gentile church done? They celebrate Satan's birthday, or Saturnalia, and they call it Christmas. And that is the reason why I'm trying to explain to you Christians what you have done, or what your preachers have brainwashed you into doing, into complete and utter rebellion of Jehovah, the Elohim of Israel. You are in utter and complete rebellion. You have rejected Israel's Messiah, who was born on the same day that his father David was born. Shavuot. You call it Pentecost. So what happens on Shavuot? What does Shavuot mean? Well, before we find out, let's do this. Let's look up first fruits among many, shall we? All right. First Corinthians, and Paul is speaking to the Gentiles. 1 Corinthians 15:20. But now Messiah is risen from among the dead and is the first fruits of those who sleep. Sleep? But you Christians, you say they have already been raised unto heaven. No, Paul says they're not. Who's sleeping? Well, we know the truth. We know the answer here. But the point is, he is the first fruit. All right. Now, let's now go and find out what Shavuot means. Shavuot means. Okay, in ancient Israel, the beginning of the spring grain harvest marked with a ceremony, the waving of the first sheaf of grain to be accepted by Jehovah. All right, well, we all know what that means, don't we? So Leviticus 23, verse 10 through 14 says, no one was able to eat of any of the grain of the harvest until the first sheaf of the harvest was brought to the priest, who in turn waved it before Jehovah. The first sheaf of grain, it was called the first fruits. This is in Leviticus 23, verse 10. It was the first fruit of the barley harvest, the first part of the grain harvest. Thousands of years later, we find the same term used again in the Bible describing Yeshua Messiah, but now Yeshua is risen from the dead and has become the first fruit of those who have fallen asleep. So, this understanding is tied with the symbolism of the two harvests mentioned earlier and the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, Shavuot, observed at the conclusion of 50 days that began with the day of the wave sheaf offering. Okay? On Pentecost, 2 loaves were offered from the first fruits of the wheat harvest, which followed several weeks after the barley harvest. Now, so the first sheaf was offered before the Shavuot. And then, what happened on Shavuot in the book of Acts? What happened was the Holy Spirit fell upon the congregation. This very same thing is going to happen to Israel in the last days. On that day, on Shavuot, the Holy Spirit is going to come upon all Israel. Their eyes will be suddenly opened, like scales falling off of their eyes, and they shall suddenly understand and realize, from the least unto the greatest, let us understand that Yeshua Messiah's birth date is the same as David's birth date. It's the same as King David's birth date on Shavuot. And the day that Israel receives the gift of the Holy Spirit as told in Ezekiel 39 will happen on Shavuot. After Gog's armies are destroyed. Verse 21, and I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment which I have executed in my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am Jehovah, their Elohim, from when? From that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they have trespassed against me. Therefore, for that reason I hid my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword, according to their uncleanness, and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore, thus says Jehovah Elohim, now I will bring back again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel. There is no replacement of Israel, folks. I don't care what your lying preacher told you. And will be jealous for my holy name only after they have borne their shame. And they did. We did. And all their trespasses, whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again out of the Gentiles, and gathered them out of their enemies' land, and am sanctified them in the sight of many goyim, then, at that time they shall know that I am Jehovah their Elohim, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen, but I have gathered them back into their own land, and have left none of them, zero of them, behind anymore. Neither will I hide my face from them anymore. For I have done what? Poured out my spirit upon the church. That's not what it says. The house of Israel, saith Jehovah. King David was born on Shavuot. Yeshua Messiah was born on Shavuot. And Israel will receive the Holy Spirit on Shavuot. Praise Jehovah, the Elohim of Israel.